never you never lose track of what the latest trends are and what's the right way to go about doing anything.
But madam, I think as far as nomenclature goes, we should start saying learning instead of training.
Yes, we should, but then that was proposed last time, because American Society for Training and Development, which was the first one, ASTD, the American one was the first one, based upon which many other countries started introducing their local ISTDs, like, ASTD changed their name almost 10 years ago to American Society for Talent Development, keeping the ASTD the same, So they changed to American Society for Talent Development. But here it was...
Many corporates, they have started saying L&D department, learning and development.
Or they say talent development.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
Without changing the acronym, you just change the word training to talent. But it was proposed, but
nice,
politics, how the politics worked, I remember witnessed that last year. And it was proposed by, a group of people committee who worked on lots of things like branding and marketing, and then it was completely shot down. So you need good leadership to carry forward any changes and progressive mindedness. Remember that. And that's where...
Yeah, also, one more question just wanted to add to this. While this ISTD and the course that we are doing, PGDD, is directly aimed at the adult learning, isn't it? Then why it is required that we are required to even discuss about the pedagogy? Why not only andragogy?
I guess it's still pedagogy and it's still andragogy. Because the words, they are still relevant and they're still used today. If the words became obsolete, then we would have, the language is the meaning that you give to it. But it's still used today as learning and development, or andragogy is still pedagogy. Pedagogy is generally an umbrella term for all kinds of training methodology. It's generally an umbrella term. So,
true, very true.
Or ma'am, or we can also say the person who is already in the training field, who is already a trainer, for him it is the andragogy, and we people who wants to make its career. So we are self-directed, but orientation of learning is also there. But what I feel that the people like me who wants to make his career in the training, is at present is the pedagogy. And the person who
pedagogy is the overall word for methodology, whatever is the approach and methodology you use. That's an overall word. That's the way it's commonly understood, not the dictionary meaning. So,
ma'am, one request, your voice is very slow. Can you raise the volume of your voice?
No, ma'am, your voice is clear. Just increase the volume of your computer or the device.
Actually,
I have done it. I have just attending through my laptop.
Better now?
Yes, ma'am, it is better.
Now it's better, ma'am.
And before when we start, now one question you discussed about changing the name from training to talent development, as American Society is done.
It's not happening here.
So I just wanted to understand, in your views, does it bring about any change, any substantial change? Like what this changing of name, is it just a cosmetic change for the sake of changing, or it can bring about some change also at the ground level?
The names get obsolete after some time, almost all names. So for example, I'm a graduate of XLRI. It was called Xavier Labor Relations Institute, XLRI. Now there's no longer, it used to be called Labor Relations at one stage. Then it was called Industrial Relations. My diploma is still postgraduate diploma in Industrial Relations. And it was said, no, it's also an HRD function. So it was called Personnel Management. Then it was called Human Resources Management. Then it was called Human Resources Development. Today it's called Talent Management, because that's not just the fashion, but also reflects the values that are embedded in those words. When you talk of personnel, you think of people as a resource.
But has the way of functioning also changes? Suppose a department's name changes from human HR management to development, but the people still work the same way in the department. So what change?
Some processes change always. I mean, the way HR is today, it wasn't the same way 10 years ago. Same processes were not there 10 years ago. Same outlook was not there 10 years ago. So some things change. It changes very subtle, but it's there.
Okay.
It's very much there. So that's important to keep the name in keeping with the times. Otherwise, you'll have a name which goes obsolete. So, for example, companies like 3M, you know 3M, they make these post-it notes and the sticky tapes and things. It used to be called what? Minnesota Manufacturing and Mining Company. Did you know that? And then it was no longer into mining, it was no longer into manufacturing, and it was no longer restricted to Minnesota. So they changed it to 3M. Now 3M was still a part like Minnesota Manufacturing and Mining Company, but then today 3M is a standalone, but nobody knows the origins of where it was. So somewhere when I take sessions on how to start your own business and all, also in other forums, and then we talk about naming the business, how important it is to have a name that endures. You know, some name that endures over a period of time. That day somebody told me, you know, your health coaching practice, why don't you call it Health Whisperers? I said, that's because Elephant Whisperers won an Oscar today. 2 years from now, everyone knows that it's a 2-year-old name. 5 years from now, it will look 5 years old. Why? Why should I have a name that can be dated so easily? You know, just because a word is in fashion or a word is in trend. So it's always good to have names that are eternal, you know, and but whenever there is a mass change of names, it's always good to follow the names. So I think it's time to change to talent development from training and development. The word training itself has got negative connotations. They say it's like, you know, training is like you train a plant to behave in a certain manner, and you know, your output is fixed in training and your input varies and things. So lots of criticisms of the word only training, but the fact is right now we are Indian Society for Training and Development, but we are all L&D professionals and we are all talent managers. So let's just stick with what we have, and maybe your generation will bring in a change, maybe, you know, or maybe a younger generation will bring in a change, and there will be more willingness to change when there is a critical mass. And when it becomes compelling enough to make that shift happen, I'm sure that will happen eventually. Tia, you raised your hand. Just very quick, very.
Ma'am, it's a small question. Is absence of having an MBA HR a big obstacle in, you know, doing well in the training and development department?
50% of the obstacle is in your mind, and 50% of the obstacle is in other people's mind. Okay, so if you, yeah, so if you can overcome.
Right, ma'am.
If you can overcome the obstacle in your own mind, then it's half the battle won. But the world still respects an MBA. We are not yet arrived to that stage where, you know, but then there are people without MBAs who have been very good trainers as well. You know, so let's not just put that into a box and say, but half the obstacle is in your mind, half is in other people's minds. So if you feel that you need an MBA, then go ahead and do one, because then that feeling will keep coming back year on year, you know, that why I didn't get my MBA.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so let's begin. Today's class is the 6th session. I can't imagine how this time the sessions have passed so fast. We've already crossed the halfway mark. You know, so we are on the 6th session today, and we are going to be talking about how HR partners with business strategy. There's a lot of content in today's class. That's why I didn't bring any best practice showcase. But we have one leftover from the 4th session, which last time we had clubbed 4th and 5th session. So the leftover fragment from the 4th session is still there. And I want to begin with that. So let's begin with our McDonald's 5 forces analysis. I'm so grateful to receive so many lovely responses. I spent the whole day yesterday and today, you know, and I was putting stars against each one and saying this is 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. I came up with so many of them, which were very good quality of analysis. But there's not much difference between the two whom we've selected and the others. But there is a fine difference. And if you look at your own submission, you will know why I selected the ones I did. There was another one that I selected, very nice one, and it was actually on the top of the list. But then I discovered that, the same presentation with different background had been submitted by another person. So I could not bring myself to permit that person to present because I didn't know which of the two made the original effort. So those two of you who did the same presentation, just changed the background and submitted it, who I'm talking about you. And it was a good one. You need not have done two submissions under two different names of the same show. At least not to my class. You can do it you can fool some people, some teachers some of the time, but not Aneeta Madhok's class. I've got too many gray hairs in this business. But I would have called that person out to do it, put the person's name. I said, but hey, this one is looking very similar to that one. Let me open. I opened, both of them are identical content. Only the background and the pictures are different. So, suggestions like we should have McDonald's offer a vada pav and things like that. So it's a good suggestion, but then two people can't have the same assignment. In my frame, at least, unless you both deployed ChatGPT and had the same criteria and both came up with the same output. So it didn't work for me. So we've got Anil Chauhan and Shami Bhatia as being the main presenters today. But when you see the presentation, you'll notice something slightly special, slightly different, which others didn't do. And that's why I've chosen these two. So please, who is going to go first, Anil? Or Anil, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can I request Gurvinder and ISTD to just give co-sharing rights to Anil Chauhan, please? So he can also share his screen.
Ma'am, actually, I'm on my mobile now. I'm not
Okay.
using the laptop, so won't
Should
be
I
able to.
open? Should I open the presentation and
No,
share?
let Shami start with. Then by the time I'll keep my laptop ready.
Okay, Shami, can you start? Shami, are you there? Is Shami there? Shami Bhatia, are you there? Can anyone check the participants list to see if he's there?
Not there.
I sent him an email. I sent Anil also an email.
No, he's not there.
Not in the chat.
Okay, so Anil, can I open your presentation and you just
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That will do.
will work, no? So just give me 1 second to open. Okay. Your time starts now, Anil. Don't take more than 5 to 7 minutes, please.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everybody. Today we will discuss about this 5 forces analysis. Basically, when after reading the course content about the 5 forces, it really impressed me, and it was very amazing to understand how we can use this analysis to find out how is the company performing. Next slide, ma'am, please. Okay, so 5 forces which need to be identified. We have taken the 5 forces, that is competitive rivalry, new entrants, threat of substitution, bargaining power of buyers or customers, and bargaining powers of suppliers. So these are the 5 major factors which is affecting the performance of McDonald's. Competitive rivalry is very strong, and if you see, you have a lot of big peer competitors are there, like you can say Wendy's or other what you call Burger King or something like that. And company faces immense pressure from various competitors because this they are also at par with the company, so they face immense pressure. And competitors are different at different regions. So in case of McDonald's, they are worldwide. Now their main, actually I come to know that their main business is property. They are always trying to locate themselves in the major cities at the major points. And selling McDonald is totally a different business. Maybe this is for McDonald, but for the other companies, it is different. That is why there is a lot of competition. And because of type of industry also, like it is a fast food restaurant market, which is very, very common, and market is saturated. So you face a very strong competitive rivalry. What we need to do is, like, our recommendation will be to implement and prioritize the strategic issues, cope up with the minimize and cope up to minimize the negative impacts, and handle the switching costs. Like, say today somebody wants to change over from McDonald, it is very, very easy for the customer, because they will not just go to McDonald, they will go today, they will go to Burger King. So it is very difficult to handle the low switching cost. And then we implement higher quality standard. This will again improve the competition. So, okay, next slide, ma'am, please. As far as new entry is concerned, this is very moderate threat, because already the market is saturated and people, I mean, the other companies are already there, like Burger King. And it is, this threat is moderate. And a new entry will take a lot of time to come up to that benchmark. So the threat is, you can say, it is a very moderate one. And we recommend to maintain the quality and service, so that uh, other companies will take longer time to come to that level. Next threat is strong threat about the substitution. The ease of changing from one restaurant to another, as I told earlier, it is same here also. You can today, if you don't like to eat something in McDonald's, you can always go to Burger King or somewhere else. So as I told, they are trying to locate themselves in a very prominent place in prominent cities. And it is very easy to get customers in that area. So that is a very strong threat of substitution is there. For example, substitute include food kiosk and other outlet. Like nowadays, they have very small outlet are also there. So this money and also go there just for a change, because taste is something which you need to keep on changing it always. Otherwise, you will feel bored. So there is a strong threat of substitution. And we recommend that the business strategies must increase the customer loyalty. Now, like they are targeting, if you see the small this clown, he's targeting the kids. So what happens when you target the kids? The parents automatically try to bring those people, bring the children along with them to the McDonald's. So that is what they are doing exactly. And that is how they are developing the customer loyalty. They give a lot of love and affection towards the children, and they make them very feel homely and all those things. So that is a plus point there. So that is how they handle the strong. Next slide, ma'am, please. Then about bargaining power, because as I said, people tend to cut the cost. Sometimes they want to eat somewhere else. So the bargaining power of the customer is very, very low, and then they can switch anytime. So for that, the company business strategies must increase the loyalty, especially when identified external factors combined with socio-cultural trends, like consumers increasing preference to healthy lifestyle. So some customers, they say that the McDonald's, that mayonnaise is not healthy, and so that is again a very big threat. So that is how McDonald's should handle that part. So they can do some competitive and attractive scheme also they can make to cope up with this trend. Next slide, ma'am, please. Then the suppliers. There's a weak bargaining power of suppliers. Like supplier influence in terms of company production capacity is based on availability of material. Like all the buns and all this extra, like Jubilant Food is, I think in India they are doing all the manufacturing of buns and all that for the McDonald's. So the weak bargaining power of supplier is based on the following factors: that there are a large number of suppliers and low forward vertical integration of suppliers. So all these suppliers are not integrated, and overall supply of food service business is also affected. For that, they recommend low vertical integration, which weakens the bargaining power of suppliers, and then maintain a relative abundance of material like flour, meat, and all these things are readily available. So there is a lot of bargaining powers of supplier. Next slide, ma'am, please. That is all. I think I discussed all the 5 within time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Questions from the audience to Anil Chauhan? Just notice how he's given recommendations on against each factor, what can be done to mitigate that factor.
In fact, this they are already doing. I mean, we have to just observe it. This is amazing to learn that how these people are, digging deep into this factors, and then finding out what exactly they can do. So this actually they are doing. We are just telling it from our point of view, but they are actually doing all this. That is why they are successful.
And you're right, it is interesting to do this analysis.
Ma'am, just to add on to what Mr. Anil said, one of the factors that he brought out is that the children are normally who are attracted towards these McDonald's outlets. But when as parents you go in, there's very limited that you can have. So that can be an addition where they can look at maybe broadening their menu towards some healthy stuff which the adults should be looking at.
Yes, I agree to you. And what they have started now, they started with a healthy breakfast dish in the morning. If you happen to be in McDonald's early morning, somewhere around 6-7 o'clock, they started with the breakfast. So what happened? All the office goers also started picking up a pack from McDonald's. So that is how they started targeting the what you call the adults also. So they started with the breakfast menu.
Rasia, you have a question?
Yes, Rasia.
I just have a question. I just wanted to understand low forward integration of the suppliers. If Mr.
Okay, low forward integration means what? These are not integrated, means they are not in as a unit. They are not as a they don't have an association, or they don't manipulate the prices. Because if they try to manipulate the prices, or they want to increase the prices, McDonald's will shift to some other supplier. So they are not united. Like for everything there is a association or a union, but in this case there is no such union about the suppliers, so that prices are well in control. They can negotiate with the prices also.
Good.
So then that means it becomes a weak force, right?
Yeah, but weak for the supplier, but for McDonald's it is a strong point.
It's a strong point for McDonald's.
But forces are the weak forces, no?
Yeah, I didn't understand how it's a strong point for McDonald's. Like
they have more bargaining power.
But it is a weak force, which is giving competition. It's a weak force.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, got it. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I think you all were convinced that it is up to the mark, especially Aneeta ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, if I may add on this forward integration, ma'am, can I add a word on
Yes,
that?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
please.
So basically, in a supply chain parlance, forward integration of supplies is, you remove the multiple layers in a sub value chain so that you have a competitive edge over the suppliers for in this particular case. And in some cases, they also start owning certain parts. They get into the vendor managed inventory, back-to-back inventory holding. So these are the various ways of, forward integrating the suppliers.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice, nice. I should have included that also.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something. Further to what Anilji said, something that McDonald's also does globally is they customize to the local market very well. So the original hamburger is actually a beef burger, and you will not get any beef burger in a market like India, for example. And similarly, so because there is the spicy mac chicken here, so there is a lot of customization basis what the local people in every country like. So I think that's something that really works for them, but it was not there in this. So.
Yes, actually, when they substituted the beef part with Aloo Tikki, which is similar to your Aloo Tikki, and that is how they started capturing. It is the cheapest of all the McDonald's burgers, and that started picking up the market actually.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah, so everywhere in every country, they have localized their practice. That's one of the things about the company. All right, so shall we move to Shami back in the...
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for making the presentation at short notice. And is Shami in here just now?
Not in the list yet.
Okay. So is Sebastian Abraham in the class just now? Sebastian, that was in my waitlist category or reserve category.
No,
Is there
no, he's
there.
not.
Let me check the list of participants. So he's also not there. So then we will move on. We'll move on. Then there'll be only one presentation today. Thank you so much, Anil. And in case Shami is not here, you meet him, tell him that he missed something. I'd sent him an email in the morning, but maybe he's not checked. And Sebastian also is not here. So at least you've learned from the making of the presentation.
Yeah, I did little bit of research also. I went to McDonald's with my family, and I was thinking from this point of view. So these 5 forces, how they are doing all that.
Now McDonald's will never be the same. Burger will never be the same. It will always be analyzed. Also, when I used to teach organization behavior, I used to always show some film, current film, and we used to analyze that in the class. And then everyone said, ma'am, I'll never look at a film in the same way ever again, Also, you'll never look at a burger the same way. But, it is, I saw so many, I received almost 65, 70 responses, which is good because that's what I normally receive 40, 50. But this time I received 65, 70 responses. And every one of them was on the dot. I mean, every used different words and things. But it's amazing the amount of learning that a simple thing like this can achieve, just a simple, very simple exercise, not very complex, not very difficult, just helps you build a more strategic mindset. So the purpose of this exercise for all of you was not necessarily to, drill home Potter's 5 forces analysis or to talk about McDonald's. The purpose was to help you develop a strategic mindset. So that when you're looking at business, you're looking at HR and what way it can partner, you're able to understand business and strategic part of business. A lot of times people don't have strategic orientation and we get very tactical and very process oriented. That what do we have to do today and tomorrow, and it's very following a process or creating another process, but the strategic outlook is missing very frequently. So that's why we are looking at now, how can HR partner with business strategy? I'm going to introduce you to a topic called strategic options. Some places I might refer to it as strategic choices, or sometimes it's referred to as strategic options. I might call it one or the other because the two are the same. It's a commonly used term. Last time one student said, ma'am, why are you saying strategic options when you mean strategic choices? I said, they're the same thing. Okay, so strategic options are for business, when business is looking at what is my options, I've done all the external environment analysis, I've done on the internal environment analysis, I've understood what we've got. Now, what do we do with all this data that's coming? Okay, so they create action-oriented responses. Okay, this is what I'm going to do now. This is what I'm going to do next, or this is what I'm going to do. These are my options. If I do A, B, C, D, then if I do A, this is going to happen. If I do B, this is going to happen. If I do C, this is going to happen. If I do D, this is going to happen. So there are certain options that you consider, and you make a choice as to which is the direction you want to go in. So they take strategic options, give you, come from the facts and actors, trends, opportunities, and threats of the outside world. And strategic options are identified after assessing the internal and external environment and keeping in mind the goals, visions, and aspirations of the organization as well. So these are choices that we make. There are three questions that any strategic choice will have. One is, how should I compete? Because there's always competition. Second is, what is the direction of my growth? Do I want to go into premium market and high profit margins, or do I want to hit the bottom of the pyramid, high volumes but low margins? So what is the direction of my growth? And what will be the method of my growth? Will I go aggressive on this brand, or will I not go? Will I just drop my prices and thereby capture a big chunk of what will be the method of my growth? So these three things will be important in deciding what my strategic options will be. So how do we develop a strategic option? Before I move, I want to give you some common strategic options. Okay, some things that are commonly understood as strategic options. One is, I will have a cost leadership. So this is a very crowded market and a lot of undifferentiated good. And I will be the cost leader, as in I'll be the lowest priced product, and I will be able to skim the market because of that. That's called cost leadership. I lead on cost on the basis of my price and on the basis of my profit margins. It's called cost leader. That's my choice. I could have gone for a higher pricing strategy. I could have gone for a different penetration pricing strategy. All kinds of strategies are there, but I'm going for cost leadership as a strategy. Then blue ocean is another commonly found strategic option, saying that, yeah, I will go into that part. The red ocean is where there's too much competition and everything is very messy and muddy and red because it's bloody. But I go into a blue ocean because nobody has been there before, and we'll be able to create a market for ourselves. And then maybe I will differentiate my product or my service. And once I differentiate, then customers who need that differentiated element, they will come only to me and not to anyone else. And then there's innovation leadership. I will keep innovating. I'll give you examples of all these as we go along. I'll keep innovating, something new I'll keep offering in the market. Then next is technology leadership. I will have the best in class technology. I will lead on that count. That's a strategy for some. And then next is customer experience. I will give like for example, you go to a Taj hotel. It's the experience that you go for, or you go to a Vistara Airlines, they talk about the customer experience there. And when there was a Kingfisher Airlines, it used to talk about the customer experience in a Kingfisher airline. So that is the differentiating factor. So these are commonly found strategic options. But how do we get to these strategic options? Let me go back. How do we develop these strategic options? These options give us answers to how I will compete, how I will grow, and what will be the method of my growth. So how do we get to this point? How do I get to say, okay, I want to be a cost leader. I want to be a differentiated service. How do I get to that point? First, there is a process by which we get to that point. First, we define what is the basic question. What is the purpose of my business? My business is to provide maximum service at minimum cost. Or my purpose is to serve the most expensive customers and cream the market. I have high profit margin and luxury good. What is the basic question to be addressed? You have to first come up with that. And that question comes with your vision, mission, values, the external environment, the internal environment analysis we talked about. Then analyze the external environment, internal environment. We've already been through that one. We prioritize and cluster opportunities and threats. So what are my opportunities? Where are my threats? What is the risk? What is the competition like? So I try to prioritize. This year is very important for me to beat my competition, because if I don't, they will overtake me. Once I've killed my competition, then I will rest, and then I will say, okay, I will build my profit margins. But today I don't mind undercutting a little bit because I want to kill the competition. So what is my priority? What is my priority? What is my priorities for the year, for the quarter, for the month? And then we cluster these priorities and we develop strategic options that respond to one or more opportunities and threats. We develop a set of choices. Okay, if I do this, this is what will happen. If I do this, this is what will happen. It's like playing a game of chess. What are my choices of action? And then, you can foresee 5 or 6 moves from now, how your move will pan out, what impact it will have. So we develop strategic options that respond to opportunities and threats, that they're results oriented, related to output, input, vision, mission. Sometimes they're straightforward, clear, like in Indigo Airlines or a SpiceJet Airlines, I want to be the lowest cost operator. That's it, no other, or Ryanair. Sometimes they are creative because they consider new solutions. We have not done this before. Sometimes we develop more than one option for the same threat or opportunities. And for each opportunity or threat, we develop at least one strategic option. So when I'm trying to decide what are my choices, I look at all possible options. If I do this, this is what I want to get. This, if I do this, if I do this, if I do this. So there's a lot of analysis that goes into determining what are my priorities and choices for the year. Then we rate the option as relevant to the basic question and the vision, mission, and values of the company. It's clear? Any question? So there is an example. There is an example of a district health department. Not necessarily Indian, is generic. It's generic everywhere, anywhere in the world. So there's an example of a district health department, and the basic question is, how can the district health department ascertain effective, affordable, and sustainable delivery of health services to the rural population in the district? So there are we do a SWOT analysis and we discover that the district commissioner gives high priority to health services. Budget grows at 10% per year in the coming 3 years. So that's an opportunity. We need to fulfill that opportunity. The health services of NGOs in my district are well appreciated. We have partnered with them in the past. A political trend is towards decentralization. No longer the ministry wants to control everything. They tell us you manage the funds at your end. So that is an opportunity that gives opportunities. What are the threats? The threats are there's rapid population growth. People are producing children very fast. There's growth of infectious diseases, including things like COVID happened. There's a bad reputation of public health services. People will go for private options. They will go to private doctors and clinics, but they will not come to public health services. And we do depend on donors. A lot of donations come our way, but they're very fragmented efforts. Some donors giving 5,000, some is giving 10,000, some is giving 5 lakhs, some is giving 50 lakhs. Very fragmented. There's no concerted donor drive. So, Chandru, yes, of course, it's being recorded, I think, the session. I got the... So then we look at developing options, strategic options. This is the first evaluation. So my option A is, how do I make better use of private health services? How do I get people to make better use of private health services? Now, this option actually addresses opportunity number 3 and 4 and threat number 3. So I go back to the previous slide. Opportunity 3. Health services of NGOs are well appreciated, and there's a political trend to decentralization. And The bad reputation of public health services will be mitigated if I do that. Okay, so this is addressing opportunity number 3, 4, and threat number 3. You're getting my point? Are you with me? Please follow what I'm saying. Huh? I'm tracing the whole path for you. Option B is I intensify preventive health services. Let's do a lot of vaccination drives. Let's do a lot of health hygiene workshops. Preventive health is better than cure. And then we say it mitigates threat number 1 and 2. So what is threat number 2? It mitigates rapid population growth, and it also mitigates the threat coming from the growth of infectious diseases. And how relevant it is to the basic question? Option A has got 3 times relevance. This has got 2 times relevance. And then option C is we intensify donor coordination. Let's raise more fund. Let's raise much more funds. And this will take care of opportunity 2 and threat number 4. So opportunity 2, budget grows 10% in the coming 3 years. So we get more money in, and fragmented donor efforts get more and more concerted and organized well. And it doesn't contribute to your basic question. If you get more money, does it contribute to your basic question of delivering better health services? No, it doesn't. So therefore, there's no weightage given to option C. Then similarly, option D, and there's option E. All options possible are put down and analyzed thoroughly. Okay. At this stage, you're only examining options. You're not deciding on what should be your choice. Yes, Rasia?
Ma'am, in the option C, why would more funds not contribute to better use of health services? Like it could be propagated more or better quality, hygiene and all of that.
What is the basic question? How can the district health department ascertain effective, affordable and a sustainable delivery of adequate health services? Your budget is anyway growing 10% in the coming years. So getting more money in is not going to help you, because that doesn't address your basic question. How do I deliver the service? Okay, so it doesn't really address the questions, the basic question. So
but ma'am, it can be, it can be, because if I have more money, I can give more, free drugs to the population, because in all the hospitals right now, they are giving all important medications free of cost. So if there is a more fund, so it will be better for the government to also, provide more drugs, or the channel will be not stopped. Sometimes it happens because of the fund, the stocks is not available. So doctor is prescribing the drug, and that patient need to purchase from the chemist itself. But if there is a more fund, it will be,
right now the funds is not a problem. Funds is not a problem right now. Today, this year, at this point in time, funds is not a problem. I've already got my budget growing, and I already have ample money, although it's not, so I don't really need to generate more money. Why waste my effort? Strategically, you've got to think. It's always nice to have more money. And we do believe that always money will make the things go better, but not necessarily so. Right now, I have adequate money. I must make better use of the money that I have. So it's not a priority right now. That's my point in doing this analysis. Right now, intensifying donor coordination is not a priority. We are getting an increasing budget, and let's utilize that budget well. So Sharika, you have a question?
Ma'am, just to add, like people's rigid mindset is one of the major threats in the remote areas. It comes under the threats, ma'am.
Where is that?
No, I think we should add this. Like I have personally experienced this at the time of vaccination, like they ran away with their kids and all while I was working with WHO or UNICEF. So their rigid mindset is the major concern over there. Just to add.
Maybe you're generalizing based on that experience. This is a case study. It's a ceteris paribus situation. And let us not add things there that are not there. Sometimes we add from our experience. And we have to look at what the data tells us. The data tells us there's no rigidity. people are going, but they're going for private rather than public health services. There's no rigidity in that. So if the data is not telling you, then why are you assuming just because you have the experience? That's something we tend to project our own experiences, our own opinions onto the business strategy, and we should avoid that. We should look at data which is objectively, from an objective point of view. That's the difference between being a professional and not being a professional. So no need to project your own experiences onto this case study. As did this a case study, it's theoretical, it's hypothetical, it's ceteris paribus conditions, all other conditions being normal and constant. That's how we say. But at the same time, I'm also concerned how we project our experiences onto data when the data is not showing it.
Fine, ma'am.
Okay, Vidit, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question. It's also a thought, ma'am, plus question, because when I read this question, I felt that if we could have defined like adequate health, what do we mean? What are the parameters by which we will ascertain the health will be adequate? Na? Then perhaps we can do better analysis.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Yes, we would. In fact, there would be big data behind all this. Okay, and we would have to get into the big data, but right now I'm just trying to demonstrate a case study to you to show you how strategic options are developed. That's the purpose of it right now.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, but in reality, there would be a lot more data in reality. I agree with you. So I'm right now trying to show you how we look at strengths and weaknesses and how we derive strategic choices from there. Okay, so here there are strategic choices. This is the first, these are all my options. It's a brainstorming of all the things I can do, to mitigate all the threats and to grab all the opportunities. It's not the end of the process, because then now strategic direction will also follow. Don't take decisions at this stage, what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. You may think that strategic option D is relevant, but probably least feasible. But postpone your judgment and conclusions until after the direction is decided. So this is the first evaluation. All right. So let us move on. There are now many frameworks that help you decide what strategic options you might want to consider. Remember we did one Boston BCG matrix, Boston Consulting Group's matrix, product portfolio analysis that helps you decide the direction in which your marketing strategy should go. Similarly, there is a Porter's generic strategies model, and he's looking at a source of competitive advantage. Are you getting competitiveness because of your cost, or are you getting competitiveness because of the fact that you're different? Those are two very good reasons why you're getting. What is the source of your competitive advantage? So perhaps in a case like a McDonald's, the source of their competitive advantage is that low cost food item, low cost and high tasting food items. Then you got to look at the market scope. Is it a narrow scope or is it a broad scope? I'm reaching large varieties of people, a lot of social segments, or am I just limiting myself to a few small segments? So this gives you 4 different strategies depending upon where you are. You can have a differentiation focused strategy. You can have only differentiation as a strategy. Everything I do is different. And then there is a cost leadership strategy where I say I'm going to hit the market and I'll be the best cost for the product and best value for money. Or I could follow cost focus strategy. There is an Ansoff matrix also that helps you decide your strategic choices. So the Ansoff matrix helps you decide based upon your products and your markets. If you have existing products in existing markets, you could do a market penetration strategy. But if you have new products in existing markets, then you have a product development strategy you can make happen, because the market is existing, but your product is new. You need to have product development strategy. So if your market is existing and product is existing, then you need to see how can you penetrate the market even more and go deeper and go into more, grab more market share and things. If you have new markets and existing products, then you have to do a market development strategy to go out there, create a demand for your product. And if you have new market and new product, then it's for you, it's a diversification strategy because you're in a business that you didn't know. You remember we did one case analysis with Bidisha Banerjee from Wellspun. She said when Wellspun went into the flooring, that time it was a diversification strategy for them at that point in time. So these are some of the things that gives you strategic choices, is ways of looking at your options. Then if you say innovation is my hallmark, that like companies like 3M, they say innovation is the reason why we exist. Companies like Corning worldwide also say that innovation is the reason why we exist. So then there are different kinds of innovations. There could be some frontier research I'm doing, like Pfizer Pharmaceuticals did a lot of research on the COVID vaccine. There could be some breakthrough innovation that I did, like maybe ChatGPT is a breakthrough innovation. There could be some sustaining innovation, like a company like Corning. I will give you the case study in a bit, where the innovation is sustained beyond like 150 years old company. They've been continuously innovating. And then it could be a disruptive innovation. I come out with something like an Uber or an Ola that redefines the market. So there are various ways of defining what kind of innovation choices you have. So this is the slide I showed earlier. Cost leadership, blue ocean, product service differentiation, innovation, leadership, technology, and customer experience. So these are the choices. I already explained these earlier. Let's look, what does it mean to have a cost leadership? A cost leadership means I compete on basis of cost. So I have the lowest cost of production and I maximize my profits internally. I have the lowest price in the market, I grab bigger market share. I have the lowest cost and best value strategy. So there again, I get people to come back to me, build brand loyalty. And I cut down costs in the company wherever possible. Right? This is a cost leadership strategy. Then there is, if you're going in for a cost leadership strategy, I'm giving you example of SpiceJet is a cost leader. Big Bazaar is a cost leader. McDonald's, Walmart, these are cost leaders. They are catering to big markets, bulk markets, but because they're very cheap and they're very economical. So what are the implications for business? If I'm a Spice.
Today, nowadays, I think DMart is also focusing on the lowest price.
Agreed. DMart is also following a cost leadership practice. Even Big Basket, many of them are doing cost
Even
leadership.
Jio is doing same thing.
Jio with their cell phones is doing the same thing. Okay, so you're right. They're all cost leaders. So when the focus is on lowest price, the costs of operation are also low. Yes, Jagannath, you have a question?
Yes, madam. While we talk about the cost leadership, there are two schemes of pricing. One is called penetration pricing and another is the scheming pricing. Typically, penetration pricing is what we are using for or observing for Jio and what DMart or even Big Bazaar initially. And the scheming pricing typically for the Apple, we can take the example. So how we can maintain this cost leadership in case of scheming pricing instead of penetration pricing?
Scheming pricing, then you have to reduce the product life cycles. There's a shorter product life cycle. You are able to skim.
Like what Apple is doing typically.
Yeah, shorter and shorter. Yeah, I mean, there's no innovation coming now. iPhone 14 is the same as iPhone 13, but you have changed the colors and you made it, so you're keeping on skimming the market. So it's a skimming pricing.
But that can be
Otherwise,
cannibalization also. No?
it's also very dangerous because in a skimming practice, in a skimming pricing, then you could be very soon out of business. And sometimes companies are like that. They don't intend to be there for the long term. We just there, go cream the market and make good packet of money. And that's also a strategy.
But that may even lead to cannibalization also.
That could, yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Okay. Thank you.
that could lead to, internal inefficiencies, like what will I do with an iPhone 12 and 13, but we're not concerned.
Yeah. Fine. Thank you.
But the focus is on skimming the market, and they're in a premium segment. They're not even a cost leader. They're not even a cost leader. They're premium price product. So they're really, instead of skimming pricing, I'll say creaming the market pricing. It's not the skim
Yeah,
milk,
very true.
not the remaining skim, is the cream. They're aiming only for the cream there. Yeah. So these are some of the things. They require operational efficiencies, strong financial management. All these companies are managed very tightly, Geo and all others are very tightly managed. Centralized decision making, especially purchase, a very utilitarian approach to spending. So when you got that kind of an approach, then what does HR do? HR has to partner with business. Remember, that's what this course is about. It's not about business strategy, it's about HR. So HR has to hire people that are and drive a culture that is productivity focused. Okay, if you are working for an Apple, you will not do that. A need for a differentiated workforce management. You will be pinching all the pennies possible. Focus on bottom line driven culture, all results oriented. The Reliance culture and Geo culture, and also with Big Bazaar, also with McDonald's, very bottom line driven culture. And then raise, reduce, eliminate, create, model, reduce manpower costs at all levels. And instead of outsourcing, which can be expensive, HR can look for skills within the company. So that's called implications for HR if a company is in this kind of a strategic mode. Are you getting the link? How we linked strategic choices, business strategy, internal, external environment with strategic choice, and now with strategic choice, how we are linking the HR implications. Suppose the company decides to do a blue ocean strategy. Okay, what is a blue ocean? I think we've already been over blue ocean once before, but let's go over. Blue ocean is when a company goes into a market where there are no competitors. Okay, unexplored areas of the market, but there is a lot of potential there. So we redraw the industry boundaries by exploring uncontested markets. We look for new products that could be in demand by the customers, which a company could provide, eliminating its competition. And we create new products which don't have much competition, but are still valuable to customers in order to occupy a new arena in the market world. So something more about the blue ocean. In a red ocean strategy, you survive in the existing market, you compete with other companies, and you have a low cost or differentiation strategies. But when you go to a blue ocean, you explore the uncontested market, something nobody has been ever before in that market. Competition is irrelevant because there is no competition, and there's low cost and differentiation strategy at the same time. Because if you're high cost in a blue ocean, nothing will happen. So there are some more tools of the big blue ocean strategy. I'm not going to talk about these, but if you are familiar with blue ocean strategy, you will be able to understand how the strategy is evolved and how it translates into action by the usage of these tools. So what is the implication for HR? HR needs to hire people and build a culture that supports creative thinking. So if you have got, it's usually a maverick kind of a strategy. So if you've got people too much focus on conformity and, everyone should be doing the right things and saying the right things and role orientation, then you probably will not survive in a blue ocean because people will not be comfortable there. People will still do the things the old-fashioned way. They'll not be able to redefine themselves in a blue ocean. So you need to have creative thinkers. You need to create a culture of uniqueness. In the previous situation, you didn't have unique culture. You had only results and bottom line driven. Here you want to take special talent who are unique people and you want to cultivate those guys. You have to communicate the new working strategies to employees, resolve issues and questions, and you have to be able to break away from tradition and norms. So you can see what HR is different, how HR can partner with business strategy. In a similar way, suppose your strategic choice is product or service differentiation. I'm not going to read these slides too much because the content is a lot this time. So when I'm doing a product or service differentiation, what does it mean? I'm different. My unique. So for example, if you take just the big 5 consulting firms, if you say McKinsey, it has a certain culture. If you say a Deloitte, it has a certain culture. The difference is what? Is the quality of the talent. My service is different. If I'm a Deloitte, my service is different. If I'm a McKinsey, my service is different. So when I'm offering a differentiated service, I'm seeking to be unique along some dimension that's valued by the customer. The customer thinks it's important. So I'm different. That's why it's, and that difference is valued by the customer. So it makes your products different from and more attractive to the customers. So this could be some feature in your product, some functionality in your product, some durability, support, some brand image. You could be rewarded for uniqueness with a premium price. As I'm unique, I'm special, therefore it's a boutique solution I'm offering you, therefore the price I'm demanding is more. Good R&D and innovation, ability to deliver high quality products, and effective sales and marketing, so the market understands the benefits of the differentiated offering. So what do we do when there's product differentiation? We've got examples of Whole Foods, Tata Nano, which didn't work, Cafe Coffee Days, both of all these are not working right now. But when there is a product or service differentiation, the focus is on building capability to deliver brand promise. So I must have this right sales and marketing people who can deliver the promise of that differentiation. If I've got a different mobile phone and my salesman out there doesn't appreciate the difference and just tries to sell it based on ye sasta hai to le lo, then it doesn't work. The person at the end of the line must be able to deliver the promise of the brand. Focuses on attracting and retaining the key talent, because not everybody can deliver a differentiated service, and training and development efforts that deliver and sustains the unique capabilities.
Ma'am, any new example for this blue ocean? Any company who has just done well in the blue ocean?
So when Uber first came, it was a blue ocean.
Oh yeah, Uber, very good.
Any of these which are paradigm shifting companies, even when Big Basket came, it was a
You can also say, ma'am, there's a Bharat Serum who has invented vaccine for the COVID because it was totally unexplored. So we can also take it as the this ocean, blue ocean strategy.
Yeah, that was also blue ocean. So
yeah, ma'am.
So same way, when you have innovation leadership as your business strategy, as your strategic choice, what is business innovation leadership? Innovation leadership is when the products and services continue to be, it's not about an innovative leader. Huh? And being an innovative leader is different. Innovation leadership as a business strategy is about growing your market share and profits through product and service innovation. I keep creating new and newer product applications. There's something, aspects of business innovation strategy. There's an example of Corning glassware. It used to be in India. Now it's not. Now Borosil is separate from Corning. Otherwise, Corning was in India, and it's still there. I think Owens Corning is a part of the Indian setup here. So it's a company that was started in 1879. It was that time making glass envelope for the light bulbs. You know, the old style light bulbs, it was making the glass part of it. It was slightly heat resistant glass. Then in 1912, it went into railroad lanterns, glass for the lanterns that could withstand extreme temperature changes. And so it started making Pyrex glass for cookware. And then more and more product innovation happened. And it continues to innovate. If you look at the latest innovations are also there. And it's creating this, when you're on top of your mobile phone, some of the glass that's coming is now creating the shock resistant glass from recycled materials. That's the latest innovation coming from Corning. So you'll see that kind of innovation that they have sustained over more than 160 years. So this is an example of a innovation leadership strategy. So when this happens, implications of HR are what? How do you create and sustain? So the examples of companies are 3M, Corning, Biocon India, so many other examples of constant innovation. So you build and sustain a culture of excellence and innovation. Sometimes I feel even Tata Motors is a constantly innovating company. Tata Motors, although it's not very profit-making, but they're constantly innovating organization. They're continuously some new product they're putting out there, some new models they're putting out there, continuous innovation. The pace of innovation at Tata Motors is much higher than any of its competitors. So you have to then create a culture that sustains innovation and excellence. Anyone who thinks differently needs to be supported. R&D efforts need to be put in to create. You hire curious minds, motivate them in the right direction. You need supporting processes and structures for that. So my point is that depending upon the various strategic options that companies will deploy, the implications for HR are different. And HR, if I say the same response, HR needs to give the same processes, the same procedures, HR will adopt. It doesn't work. You have to partner with the business. You have to tailor make your processes, your criteria, whatever your process, to align to the way the business strategy is and the business strategic choices are. Some companies have a technology leadership. You've got a better and better technology. Infosys, of course, one of them. Tesla, Pfizer, Apple, Samsung, they're all into technology leadership. You invest in technology, you develop the capability, you do R&D for applications of the technology, and then involve next-gen products. So this is all examples of technology leadership. So if you're in HR and in training and development, and you work for a technology leadership company, then you know you have to do things differently. Okay, and what are some of the things you have to do? You have to identify technical skills. Technical skills are the most important, and technical innovation is the most important. So you have to partner with training managers to build the technical skills. And you have to develop a culture of learning and knowledge workers. Yes, Ganesh, you have a question?
No, a point of view, ma'am, not a question. On this technological edge companies where HR should, effectively partner from a business growth standpoint of view. It's more from, a futuristic talent development is something what we need to actually look at. For example, when I release a beta version now, and the competition easily catches up. So my beta version 2 should be already ready when I launch the earlier version. So this is the kind of talent churn that the HR should be partnering with.
Yes, exactly. So yes, so when there is a technology leadership, there are lots of other issues also. So there should be a technology pipeline, a tech innovation.
Absolutely,
pipeline.
absolutely.
That pipeline is what we need to keep feeding as an HR. So
Right.
yes, that's adding one element more to the tech leadership as a strategic choice.
Thank you.
Then suppose customer experience is my strategic choice. What do we do in HR? So the example was Kingfisher Airlines in the past, now Virgin Atlantic Airlines also, and Taj Hotels. They offer, and Vistara Airlines, they offer you an experience rather than anything else. So the focus is on attracting and retaining talent that understands customers' needs. Culture of strong customer orientation. Typically, relationship management skills are important, and service is also of importance. So these are important aspects for HR to make note of, and then the whole HR gets changed. So now I just want to close. Before I close, I want to say that there are so many, actually we still have time. There's so many other strategic choices, not necessarily just the few I've spoken about. For example, you could have market development strategy, or you could have a product development, you could have vertical and horizontal integration, strategic alliance, you have diversification. All these strategies will require business to change directions quickly, and then HR has to also follow suit. So that's the reason I listed down some of these. These are what we call generic strategic options. Every company will have their specific one carved out as per their needs and as per their requirements. So any questions? I still have more. So when talent differentiation, then what is the implications of HR? We focus on attracting and retaining top-class talent. Example is McKinsey. They talk of their differentiated talent. Yes, Jagannath?
This is regarding McDonald's case, madam. While we talk about the switching, that is, or we can say about the loyalty of customers, especially in case of the food products, like we were discussing in case of McDonald's, people are the locality or area or country or society, community where the people are more about the health conscious or hygiene aware people. Will they switch from one brand to another brand? What do you think?
Well, I can't say that unless I have some concrete data and research. That's one thing with business strategy, you think something.
No, that is about psyche of the people, isn't it?
So if people are health conscious,
now,
they will not go unless, the whole family is not health conscious. I'll tell you, I'm a very health conscious person. My family loves to go to McDonald's and I hate to go to McDonald's. I walk across to the Starbucks and I bring myself a coffee and I sit down with it while everybody else is munching burgers. So yes, so that happens. We still go to McDonald's. So it's
maybe
not that
you may not,
that
you are not
simple.
the decision influencer in family. Can be the reason. But
Now, don't get onto that bandwagon. Then I'll have to give you a whole lot more stuff.
It's the matter of self-liking, ma'am. The matter of self-liking.
If the family head is more health conscious and who will be influencing the decision of the other family members, then I am asking. How far this, because we have the domestic indigenous brand called Chitale from Pune. Yes. If you are aware of that brand, Chitale brand, whatever charge, people will go to them for whatever product they are having, Bakarbadi or whatever. Yes. Chitale brand means McDonald's. We are talking about the foreign brand, but indigenous brand, typically Puneri brand.
No, Vada Pav is healthier than a McDonald's. I will tell you that.
No, Vada Pav, that's a common thing. There is no brand as such for Vada Pav. Only in Mumbai we can find Jumbo or maybe Raja Vada Pav, everything. But I'm talking about something other, where people are more health conscious. They are even ready to pay higher price, like that we observe in case of Chitale and similar brands. Thank you.
It's a very big, what I will call strategic choice for companies to focus on health. So now even McDonald's is focusing on healthy options. They are coming.
Jumbo King was in losses, so madam, they have stopped selling Vada Pav. Now they have shifted to burger.
Yeah. Okay. More profit margin because Vada Pav people will get for 2 rupees, 7 rupees as well as for 20.
No, 10, 15. Those days are gone. 2001, 2, it was 2 rupees, 3 rupees. But now average anywhere it comes at around 10 or 15. But Jumbo King, they started their business with the mindset of selling Vada Pav. But since they failed, they also entered in the burger market now.
Good.
See just one last point. Typically in a food and beverage industry, more of choices that we offer to the end user or consumer, better the brand prevails. So you're always spoiled for choices, whether to choose a healthy option or today you want to pamper yourself, you use a junky option. So you always have certain things in front of you. The touch and feel makes the F&B industry grow really well.
Yeah. Anybody else has anything to say?
Ma'am, this strategies, like the list of strategies you showed in the last slide, how do we implement these? Is it one by one or all in in 2s or 3s?
No, nothing like that. No, every company will have 1 or 2 strategic choices they'll make. Every
So
company.
the head, the CEO will decide that we are lagging behind in the say
Yeah,
particular.
different companies have different processes. They do a full
Okay.
planning exercises. They will get a lot of data. They will get a lot of, external analysis, internal, and then there'll be a lot of discussion. And then the strategic decision that comes from there. And then
Okay.
that prevails for a long time unless there is a need to re-examine that. They don't normally don't re-examine that. Every year they will review their strategy and say, so for example, a company like say Indigo Airlines, every year they will review, but they're doing well because of their differentiation.
Yes.
They've kept low cost and differentiation both as their strategy, and they're doing extremely well because of that. They're seeing
Ma'am, can you give me one example for turnaround strategy? Turnaround strategy.
So turnaround is usually a temporary situation. There's a loss-making company, and then suppose there's a loss-making organization, then some company goes and acquires it, and then does some turnaround for a few years to bring that company back into the right action. And that turnaround happens, and then so for a few years, turnaround is your focus. And then there's different things that happen in that, cost focus, and manpower is getting laid off, and only some manpower remains. Lots of things happen for HR when the company is in a turnaround phase. You're turning around from making losses into trying to generate profits.
Ma'am, there is a strategy downsizing, like right sizing or smart sizing can be the better strategy, ma'am, than downsizing.
Depends. If my company is making too many losses, then downsizing is a better one.
Okay.
Ma'am, if I may, what would be the HR implications or HR strategy in terms of if the company is getting into downsizing or right sizing? Because in the current conditions where there are layoffs happening, every company has a conservative approach towards hiring, and they want to ensure that they don't lose talent as well. So what should be the HR approach over here?
So if the HR is the one that's responsible for downsizing or right sizing, no? HR is the one, it's a response. Downsizing is a response to business situation.
Yeah.
Business is making losses, or there's too much competition, or certain areas it doesn't work. So then the downsizing happens because that helps a company recoup the losses and to, stem the losses. Or it could be some things like strategically, like, for example, not in India, but if you go abroad, Marks and Spencer, they pulled out of retail operations in the clothing because it was not generating money for them. In India, it's making money, so they continue to stay with that business. So the business makes choices based upon the directions, based upon what gets thrown up in their internal external environment analysis. And then downsizing is a response to that strategic direction. And we want to pull out of certain countries' operations, or pull out of certain line of business, or close down certain lines of business. Then obviously HR has to go and respond with a proper downsizing strategy.
If I may, the question mostly was, so the company is getting into downsizing. They've already decided that. But what should be the response from an HR to retain the talent that is not getting downsized?
So typically what happens is at first there is a stage of layoffs. This is what typically happens. There's a stage of layoffs where, people are being laid off left, right, and center. Anybody could get the axe anytime. And then there is a period of rebuilding. There's a period of rebuilding after the layoffs are over. The people who are left, they're all little, scared, or they're not secure. And at that time, you have to get into rebuilding the organization culture. I remember one company which had some voluntary retirement scheme. After that, every employee in the company, they had some plan for some side business. And I'm going to start my side business. I'm going to start doing, because I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. Suppose something happens to this company, I don't know if I'm going to survive. So there was so much insecurity in the company that people started making alternate plans for themselves. They were not even getting laid off. So then you have to go back and build the culture there. You have to have the stay interviews. You have to have, career planning exercises. You have to have a lot of conversations with people, telling them you want them to stay, the key talent. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thanks. That helps.
Okay. Suspect, you finished your question?
Yes, I did. Thanks.
So still more strategic choices of talent differentiation. What are the implications for HR? Innovation or technology leadership? What are the innovations? Sorry, I'm hitting the wrong buttons. So what is the importance of creating a training and development strategy aligned with business? Today's session is particularly important because this is where we draw the connection between business and business strategy and what HR does, and then we take it to the next step and see what training and development function does. So therefore that is very important to create a training and development strategy aligned with your business. These are some of the reasons why you should do that. So you need to first formalize your training strategy process. Very few companies have a training strategy process. They have a training process. They have a process of developing a training calendar. They have an events process. Then they set clear linkages to corporate objectives in your training and development strategy. If the business is going for downsizing, then training and development also has implications. The business is going for merger or acquisition, then there is implications for training and development there. And training and development strategy is not just for skills. Just remember, it's not just skill development, it should also include employee satisfaction. We need to also the role of training in building the culture of organization. In the next class, we'll be starting the OD perspective. That training and development has a big role to play in the strategic, in the development of organization culture as well. So we create different strategies for different positions in the workforce. That also happens. So training and development strategies must be geared towards solidifying the talent pipeline. Training and development strategy must be flexible to constant change and continuous improvement. And choose the delivery style, mode of implementation, and benchmark the performance. Any questions? Any questions? Yes, Chandru?
Ma'am, I posted my question on the chat box earlier. That was regarding the organic versus inorganic growth and the HR implication in that case.
Okay. So organic growth is when a company grows its markets through a lot of market development and market, creation of markets activities. Inorganic growth is when you merge and you acquire other companies. So you've grown your business and your market share, but you've grown inorganically, as in through acquisition and through, acquiring other competitors. So in the first case, the HR would be more consistent, steady HR. In the second case, when it's inorganic growth, there will be a lot of issues of mergers and acquisitions that come out. So you'll see as soon as the merger is announced, the first thing everyone is worried about their jobs. So HR has a huge role to play. HR has a huge role to play whenever there's a merger, acquisition, or any kind of inorganic growth.
Like the L&T and the Mindtree, ma'am.
Yes, that's an example, and there are many examples. L&T and Mindtree, when they acquired, there was such a clash of cultures. Huge clash of cultures.
True.
And all the top management left.
Correct.
Because of the cultural difference, because they couldn't handle the change in culture.
Yeah.
And then eventually, the new culture has set in, but it's taken them 3 years now since they started.
Yeah, and the market share has dropped as well, ma'am.
Market price has dropped, market share has dropped. But they will recover eventually, but maybe not the same way. It's a new Mindtree now.
True. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I think in this case, in terms of organic and in terms of inorganic growth, couple of HR implications would be job mapping or looking at the benefits.
Trades, your pay scales, merge, a lot of actions. And also the organization structures of two companies have to be merged, and who will report to whom, and all that happens. Lots of implications of M&A. Pay scales, skills, competency mapping, a lot of assessment work gets done for M&A. Okay, so I'm going to be mailing you one article. There's a link also to this article called Building Workforce Skills at Scale to Thrive During and After COVID-19 Crisis. It's online. And I will also be sending you the article. There'll be an open quiz on this one. And as usual, the 3 Dave Ulrich books for references for today's session. And that's all for the day.
Ma'am, I request please send the link in our WhatsApp group.
Which one?
WhatsApp group, the link of my vacancies. The link you have told, na, one case study. Please send in WhatsApp group.
1 second. I'm not a member of your WhatsApp group. So what
No,
I
Mr. Gurvinder will send.
Okay.
ISTD WhatsApp group, Mr. Gurvinder.
Okay. I'll try and do that. I will try and do that. But I'm putting it here in your chat window also.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm putting it here in the chat window. I'll be mailing you the article as well. It's free to download. Okay, then we'll see you next Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.